Okay, good. Wrap that up. So when you do, turn to a neighbor, someone you don't know, ideally, and go for just about a minute or two each sharing how you chunked down. Go. Okay, who had an insight? Someone that maybe hasn't shared yet that would like to share? I don't think you count. Need some female type guests. You gonna keep your hand up on that one? All right, come on. Come on. I wasn't specific. That's good. If any of the women over here would like to knock him out, just come up and tap him on the shoulder and say, sit down.
Hi, I'm Aaron from Los Angeles. I'm a little nervous being here.
Nice.
So my vision, this is a longer term vision that I was getting more specific. And what I want to do is get a loft in a beautiful environment.
Time
like
out.
Big Bear.
Okay, so, okay, good. All right, excellent.
Okay.
So, loft, specific, beautiful environment, abstract, but then he made the leap and he said Big Bear. So how do we make this more specific? A loft in Big Bear. You got me though, in the beautiful environment, like that whole thing? That's all a distraction for this exercise. Got it? Okay, good.
Okay. And it would be a rental for a period of 6 months, and this would be, my goal is to do this within 3 years, okay? And basically recruiting homeless people who they'd have to self-select, and there'd be tests for them to pass, basic reading, writing, computer skills, and there'd be a cabin for men and cabin for women, 10 of each.
Uh-huh.
And then there'd be a curriculum, and it would be like a 6-month curriculum. It's going to be a 6-month curriculum. And the first couple weeks is going to be personal development, mindset stuff, and there'll be excellent teachers like Eben Pagan will be there. And
I like the way he said, excellent teachers like me, which lets me out.
well, Eben Pagan will be one of the teachers.
Nice work, my friend.
And then I'll be one of the teachers, because by that time I'll be an expert. And so there'll be personal development and then a curriculum in internet marketing where they build an internet business.
Okay, time out. So what we're looking for here in this exercise is I want to know the 3 things that are the whole story.
Okay.
What are the 3 things of everything that you just said and the things you were going to say that's all I need to know to really get it and have them be very specific? 3.
People who go from being completely destitute to thriving in their own business in a period of 6 months, and that they're able to do that throughout the rest of their life.
Good. What does destitute mean? What's the one symbol of destitute? Because destitute is one of those
Vagueness.
Abstract nouns, right? What does it mean?
Means like no home.
Okay, good. No home. That's specific. Don't own a home. Okay. Go from homeless to?
Thriving.
Okay. What is thriving? Okay, good.
Profitable businesses.
How profitable?
Well, they're earning $5,000 a month by the end of the program.
Okay. From homeless to $5,000 a month of income is very different from destitute to thriving. You got me? In 6 months.
Yeah.
That's it right there. Okay? Now, all the other details are great, and I don't want to discourage you from filling all of those in, but knowing the big rocks, being really specific about them, very powerful, because then you can share the vision with everyone else in a clear way that everyone says, okay, I can get behind this.
And then it will be funded by creating a reality TV show of it, and to inspire other people and kind of use it as a platform to spread positive messages as well.
Excellent. Funded by a reality TV show. That's clear. That's a vision that you can describe on one piece of paper that someone can say, I'm in or I'm out. Gives them everything they need to know. Excellent.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ron. I'm from Chicago, and I'm not a woman, by the way.
One woman is just clapping. Doing the
Or
Coming
not
to America
disguised as
thing,
a
my
woman,
favorite.
didn't
That
used
boy
to
good.
be a woman, none of that.
Okay.
And given the scope of what you wanted us to do, I thought I'd bring it down to a personal level,
Yeah.
with a personal, physical goal.
Beautiful.
So I decided that within 90 days, using a 5-day-a-week program, that I was going to reshape and sculpt my legs to strengthen them and make them more, where I have more endurance with them. Okay?
Okay, so time out. Can I work with you?
Yes.
All right, I'm just going to do this real quick with you. When you say strengthen 90 days from today, how would I know if they had been strengthened or not? What specifically would that mean? You
That
get
have,
people whistling at you at the beach when you walk down the beach with your Speedos on?
I'm talking more of power versus strength. That
Okay.
with power,
How would I know, though? How do you measure it?
the strength would, okay, you can measure by how much weight I'm pushing.
How much weight are you going to be pushing in 90 days?
Depends on where I start from. But I don't.
Let's see. We're in Los Angeles. Let's start there.
Okay. Well, to me, it wasn't about the amount of weight I'm pushing. It's how I'm using the weight that I push.
Okay, how would you be using it?
I would use it in a way that both builds strength and builds endurance. Because I found that it's not how much weight you use, it's how you use the weight.
Okay.
That's most important.
Can you describe it
I would
specifically?
Yes. I would use 4 sets to begin with of 6 reps each. Because with 6 reps, you can use more power and go for longer.
Okay, so 4 sets of 6 reps. You got me? That's the key piece here. All the other stuff about power and strength and all that, no.
Okay.
Specific is 4 sets of 6 reps, right? Or it would be, I'm going to start at 200 pounds and I'm going to be at 300 pounds.
Okay.
Got me? That's specific. That's getting it all the way down. And I know that in your mind, because you're probably an expert, you look like someone that I would not want to get into a competitive weightlifting competition with me. That you probably know what that means in your mind, but to be specific to others, you got to say 4 sets of 6 reps.
Right.
Got it? Now, what does the endurance part mean specifically?
Endurance means that how soon your muscles tire out versus just, all right, like for instance, a lot of bodybuilders, they can push tremendous amounts of weight, but you can go up to them and slap them and you're okay because they can't run 10 feet with all that muscle on them. You know, you don't have to, yeah. So I've always looked at it as more important to have strength and endurance and stamina than to be, you know,
Yeah.
and can't buy clothes anywhere anyway.
Yeah.
So
I saw that guy in the airport a few days ago. My God. His shoulders kind of like, his neck was in his shoulders somewhere.
So
Awesome.
So to be more specific, I would look at the time between it takes me to recover after I work on a certain part of my legs.
Good. How would you, do you have a goal for this or an objective?
Yes,
or
I would go from, my goal is to go from, and just waiting to 30 seconds in between intervals.
Okay. 4 sets of 6 reps, 30 seconds between intervals. That's specific. Got it?
You still got to measure the weight.
Okay.
Because you can do 4 sets of 6 with 20 pounds and take 30 seconds off.
Oh, you're right.
This
You're
is what's
absolutely
called
right.
this is what's called getting into the weeds.
Okay.
Right here.
All right.
Okay.
Well,
I don't obviously
all right,
don't
I'm
know
sorry.
bodybuilding. But
I'm sorry, I'm working from the presumption.
no, you're doing a great job. And we're just working on taking what he said and making it specific. Okay, you take him to task, and you help him make sure this happens, okay? Because you obviously do know what you're talking about.
I'm working from the assumption that I'm already going to do enough weight that, yes, you can use 20 pounds and go all day, but you have to use enough weight that will tire you out your muscles within that 4 to 6 rep range. So,
Okay, so
I'm
you might
starting
say-
at, say, on leg presses, I may start at 300 pounds.
Okay, great. So you might say, 4 sets of 6 reps, enough weight to failure.
Yeah, okay.
You
Good.
follow?
Yes.
Because failure is specific. That means I can't do it anymore. Okay? So again, we're just taking it specific. You understand the direction here? Okay, excellent. Nice work.
All right, thank you.
All right. Now that he stands up, remind me never to imply anything about him being a girl ever again. Sorry, buddy.
Sherry Strong. I live in Melbourne, Australia. I've been writing a book for over 10 years. And in 2006, my girlfriend she got married, she turned 40 and moved to London, my best friend. So I thought, what do I get her for her birthday? I couldn't think. We have an agreement. We don't buy gifts just for the sake of buying gifts. So I got a beautiful little cloth-bound book, and I wrote and illustrated her life story. She has a very interesting life story. Her husband's a children's author and a prolific author, and they thought this would be the perfect vehicle for the philosophies that I teach. And so I started in 2006 to illustrate this book and write it. And I've been to lots of seminars, and I've done lots of things around actually manifesting this book, and still I'm carrying it around with me. And I haven't completely finished it. Well, doing this exercise, the text is now being edited, but the fascinating thing about this exercise is, why it said the devil's in the details. And as I started to write it, I started to get this kind of excitement and enthusiasm for the book that I've never actually had. I got excited in the abstract, and so it wasn't really powerful. But as soon as I wrote down that I want to launch this at the World Wellness Project in November, I put a date to it. I actually illustrated, visualized the content, visualized the cover of it, which I've never fully been able to do before. My name illustrated and written by. The 180 pages, all that kind of thing. And then I've got 400 people at the book launch that they're purchasing several copies, and I'm actually signing them by people who've been touched by the work that I'm doing. It's made with vegetable inks and sustainable paper. The excitement and the enthusiasm and the ability to visualize it made it more real than ever. And I'm almost close to tears because it's such an emotional experience, and I can actually see it now on a level that I've never experienced it.
Yeah,
So thank you.
that's a big deal. Being specific really takes it to the next level. Not only making it real for your mind, but also for your emotions. Nice work.
Thanks.
It's good to see you. Welcome. Okay. The third mind tool that we're going to talk about here is the tool of storying. Storying. Notice that kind of unusual word, storying, the process of creating story or narrative. From what we can tell, story evolved as the way to understand events, people, experiences, and to link them all together so that we could remember them. Storying is a process of making one thing out of many things. Story is truly a mental and conceptual emergent. Stories emerge from multiple interacting components. conceptual components. It seems that the mind stories whether we want it to or not, because that's how it understands things, is in relationship to each other. Most people think of story as a sequential, connected group of events. Well, in a soupy reality that's always moving, everything's connected to everything. So really what story is about is not a group of events that were already related. It's about the mind arbitrarily choosing various events and then making them into one thing by putting a narrative through it. Now, it also turns out that we have kind of a universal process that we go through when we story. Joseph Campbell, the great mythologist, when he was younger, he started traveling around the world, and I think he was going to go to seminary, wasn't he? Like Dr. Woodsmall. Anyway, he was studying world religion. He was traveling around the world, looking at different cultures. He started listening to their stories, and he was listening to the stories of cultures that had been separated for tens of thousands of years. He was listening to their myths, and he started to notice a pattern. And he started seeing that underneath the superficial, that the stories were all the same, that they all had a very similar theme. And some of the stories were, so similar they were spooky. Joseph Campbell wrote a great book called The Hero with 1,000 Faces. And it's about this universal underlying story that he called the hero's journey. And after a lot of experts have looked at this, kind of come to, I guess you might call it the somewhat unanimous perspective, okay, the common perspective, that what all of these myths and stories had in common was that they were passed on from one person to another person to another person over many, many generations, in a lot of cases over thousands of years. And you know that when you pass a story on from one person to another, it changes. And so they all started with whatever experience happened. Someone went out hunting and brought home some food, and then that story changed over and over and over and was told around the fireplace night after night, week after week, month after month, year after year, lifetime after lifetime. And the human mind retooled them and restoried them into very similar stories. And the hero's journey starts out with the hero, that's you in case you don't know, the hero hearing the call to adventure. And the first thing that the hero does is refuses the call. When we hear the call, we don't go. We're not ready, we're afraid, we're in fear, we don't want things to change, we're attached, we're in our comfort zone. Then we hear the call again. And this time we say, okay, I'll go. And when we go, like the Knights of the Round Table, each of us enters the woods on our own path. And we walk in where it's darkest. And we go on our Grail quest. We go looking for the brass ring. And on our quest, we start running into challenges. We run into obstacles. And then friends and helpers, and often a mentor, show up. And then we meet the enemy. We realize that the enemy is very powerful. And we fight all the way past the dragon. And we stand there in front of the treasure. the thing that we went on the quest to get. And when we finally get there, we realize that the whole journey, all this time, effort, attention, everything that we've done to get here, that now that we're standing in front of the treasure, if we reach out and take it, it's going to mean something different than we thought it would mean. Taking the treasure isn't what we thought, and the treasure isn't what we thought, and so we have to make a decision. We have to make a fateful decision that will change us forever. And sometimes we take the treasure and sometimes we don't. But in either case, we learn about ourselves, we transform, and then the critical element, we come back and we bring what Joseph Campbell called the elixir. We bring the secret potion that we've discovered, because now we've been on the journey and we understand it, and we can go and bring that to everyone and be a teacher and a mentor. Now, the thing about story that's interesting is that each of us has a story that we got when we were children. We got what you might call a meta narrative, a story that shapes all stories, a set of pipes in the basement of our skyscraper that all the water flows through, a set of invisible, strange attractors and strange repellers in the sky that our plane is flying through that we can't see. And it shapes the way we perceive everything, and it shapes the stories that we make about everything. Some of us grew up with parents that were encouraging, and some of us had a temperament that was just super outgoing and adventure-seeking. And our story, as a result of this combination of things, is I can do anything I want. And some of us who have that story then jump from one thing to the next, and they never settle into one thing because they're just on this big adventure doing one thing after another after another. So it can be a blessing and a curse. Some of us got a more kind of kept to ourselves, shy temperament, and were around parents that were very critical and didn't want us to go out and explore the world. And so what we did was we had to work our whole life to overcome that challenge of even being able to get out in the world. And by doing that, we learned an important skill, like how to be social, and we turned that into great success. But also, many of us got a story in childhood. Oftentimes it'll be from one or two or three experiences, or maybe a story that a parent had that they were overlaying as we were growing up. And it might be a story of rich people are bad people. Or it might be a story of scarcity. It might be a story of low self-esteem. It might be a story of shame. And because we got that at an important imprinting time, right? Konrad Lorenz discovered that animals have important imprinting moments here. I read about a story about a giraffe, pregnant giraffe, had its baby, and right after it had the baby, unfortunately, a Jeep came and hit it, and she died. And so the baby stands up, and the first thing it sees is a Jeep. So it imprints on the Jeep instead of on the mommy, and then it grows up healthy, but every time it sees a Jeep, it calls to it and tries to mate with it. Okay, that's one version of this story. The storying mechanism is very powerful. Very powerful. shapes everything. And we've got one about our sex and our sexual attraction and what an attractive opposite or same-sex person is. We've got a story about success and failure, about wealth and poverty, about a healthy relationship and an unhealthy relationship, about ourself and who we are and what we mean and what we can do. Okay? So we each got our story and our meta-narrative that shapes all of our stories. But there's something that we humans can do that is fascinating. Fascinating. The storying thing and that we do it at all is amazing. But we can re-story ourselves. We can choose a new meta-narrative, a new hero's journey, and we can start consciously, instead of just allowing the story to emerge based on, what happened 20 years ago, plus some events that are happening now, and they all come together in our mind, and we go, oh, that's what's happening. We can re-story ourselves, and we can re-story our results. We can re-story our visions. We can re-story what's going on right now to turn it all into something else, and then it becomes something else. A very powerful exercise is to come up with your new story, okay, a simple storyline, and then start running all of your experiences through it. Just start running them through it, one after another. If you've got a story from childhood called Rich People Are Bad, and you say, you know what? No. I'm going to create a new story. This is a great quote from Harv Eker, by the way. I think it comes from Huna, he was talking about. It goes like this: bless that which you want. Bless that which you want. And so maybe I'm going to come up with a new story called Rich People Are Good, and I Bless Them. And you go back through all the people that you know and know of that are rich, and you re-story them, and you go, what are they doing that's good? And you tell yourself a new story, and then bless them. And you have to do it consciously for a while before the new story catches, before it starts doing itself. Right? You might have to do it 100 times. You may have to do it 1,000 times. But at some point, you'll notice, you'll wake up one day and you'll look at a rich person and you'll go, wow, that's great. Good for you. And you'll walk over to someone who pulls up in a Ferrari and gets out, and you'll walk over and you say, you know what? Good for you. Thanks for being an inspiration for all of us. So we story, and we can re-story. So here's what I want you to do right now. I want you to pull out your visions from the last exercise, and I want you to look through them. I want you to look behind them. And I'd like to invite you to, look over your shoulder at the shadow that's running away, the thing that you can't see. Just catch the glimpse out of it, out of the corner of your eye. Is there a story behind any of them that maybe isn't that empowering? That maybe this vision is trying to fix something that can't be fixed? It's really a story issue that you got in childhood, and you're trying to do something out here because you think that that's going to make this thing go away? And what is that story, that meta-narrative that actually shapes all of the stories? And I'd like you to write down what the meta-narrative is, what that story is, in one sentence. It's the one-sentence story behind that vision. And then what I'd like you to do is write a one-sentence re-story, a restorying that you're going to use to run everything that happens through. Again, your old story might be rich people are bad, and your new story might be rich people are good and I bless them. That simple. Okay, so look at your visions. from the last exercise, the one where we had vision and condition. It was exercise number 11. Is that correct? Exercise 11. And see if lurking behind one of them is a story from childhood that, again, you look over your shoulder, you see it running away, you just catch it out of the corner of your eye. And what is that story? In one sentence, what is it? And then, what's the new story? Restory it in one sentence. What's the new story that you'd like to use as your emergent creator? It's going to take about 3 or 4 minutes to do this. You're done, huh? Who's already got it? Who already can see it? Good, good. Okay, here's what you're going to do. Turn to a neighbor, someone you don't know. You might have to move, get up, come out here into the aisle. Share with them what your old story was, what your new story is, and what you realized. 2 minutes apiece. Go. Okay, good. Who had a good insight from that one? Okay, yeah. Is there anyone in here that had a great insight would like to share and that is at least over the 50% line to female? Okay, great. We got one here, one right there, and one right here. Yeah, come on up here.
My name is Antonia, and I'm living in Anchorage, Alaska right now.
But you don't want to say you're from there.
I really don't. Well, I do want to say I'm from there when I'm no longer living there. Yeah, that's the goal.
Okay, that's good. Do you want to tell them what women say who live up in Anchorage? Well, isn't it like 3 men to every 1 woman?
That's the fable, but it's actually like 1-to-1 at this point.
Oh, it is?
So, yeah, at least in Anchorage. So, but what's awesome is that the perception is that we're scarce. So we become a commodity, even though that's not the reality. So that's something.
I do not believe this whole 1-to-1 thing. I mean,
Yeah.
but
Well,
you must live
in
like in the
Anchorage.
one building in the most progressive neighborhood in the center of the city, right?
Right.
No.
No. Anchorage is like that. In the bush, of course, it's totally different.
In the bush.
In the bush.
Okay.
That was not.
What?
That, yeah. That was not a euphemism.
I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, no, I hear that, the saying is there women say where the odds are good, but the goods are odd. I thought you knew that
Pretty
one.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's pretty close to true. Yeah.
Yeah, and now the odds are great, but the goods are still odd.
Yeah.
All right, talk to me.
All right. Yeah, because I'm all thinking about my story, so business. I have been retooling the internal emotional the whole time because I'm a very cerebral person, so I tend to just shelf emotions as much as possible. I do not attend to my needs, and anytime I'm feeling stress or anger, I just totally shelf it, and until, of course, it becomes a monster, and then I can no longer shelf it. So I've been retooling that over and over, because I think that's my leverage point. I think that is the thing. My story, I realized, and I've been kind of crafting this the last couple of days, but I realized that my story is that all emotions are shared. I don't have a right to my own personal emotion. So if I'm feeling something, that means I'm automatically projecting onto others. This story comes from childhood. My dad had anger issues, so whenever he was mad, the whole house knew, always. So I always feel like negative emotions are not personal. They're always shared. So I just don't let myself feel them, and because I don't want to do that to other people. So my re-story is that emotions are not optional in the human experience. I have not only a right to them, but I don't really have a choice in the matter. And so I can feel my own personal emotions. That's okay. And if I can recognize them in real time and attend to them in real time, understand my needs, know that this is just an emotional experience, and call friends in, be okay with friends helping me with those needs, being okay with articulating that I have them, then fundamentally I'll be in a better position to share the positive emotions. So that's my restory.
That's good. Do you have them summed up into one sentence?
Oh, jeez.
We'll get to the specificity thing later,
Yeah.
Okay, good. No, good.
Yeah,
good.
conciseness is not good, but
No.
yeah, my
so
stories, all emotions are shared. My re-story is my emotions are personal.
interesting. Yeah. So healthy step to move from kind of no boundaries to a healthy boundary. And then from there, she'll be able to move into a more interdependent reality. Okay? Okay. So I'll just sum it up as your anger belongs to everyone else now. Okay, perfect. No, by the way, anyone else here grew up in a household where there was a lot of anger all the time? Yeah. Me too. Thank you.
Okay, this one was really tricky for me. I could totally see the tail disappearing around the corner, but I caught it. So my original story...
By the way, that's a great little analogy that she uses that I love, and I'm stealing slowly, and by the next program it'll be in there, and I'll be claiming that I thought of it. But, you know, when I say, like, you see the shadow running away from you over your shoulder, she says sees the tail disappearing around the corner, right? You catch the tail. Oh, there it went.
Those elusive bits of your shadow. So this one, okay, so I grew up without religion at all. Like, there was this sort of governing aesthetic quality to what's good, and that's how you should rule your life. And that was my dad was a scientist, so I grew up without routine and ritual, which to me equals tradition, which is bad because it requires the blind following of, which is part of religion, which dominates your freedom and constrains your unique expression. So then...
Do you like unique expression?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I'm restorying it, obviously based on everything we've been learning, that routine and ritual is the key to systemizing the process that allows success to emerge. So routine and ritual is the key to success, which it has eluded me thus far, and that's huge. Thank you.
That's a good one.
Hi, my name is Shelley, and I'm from St. Paul, Minnesota. The story is that I can't have what I want. And it really hits a chord because my dad is a person of false promise. And just continually, even would create these beautiful ideas of things of what you could have or whatever, but then oh, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, but then never follow through. Never. And so it's like always waiting and always waiting. And just always with an idea of false promise. So in recreating and retooling that, it's up to me now. And I don't have to wait for anybody.
Really, you create your story.
Right. Right.
That's an interesting meta narrative. Right? I create my story. For you, it would be very valuable to create a few of your stories. You know, what they are, what they're going to be, and how they're going to work for you. Really see them. That's great. Because that's taking control of the whole thing and seeing how, she's seeing how the whole process of even controlling the story was shaped. You follow? Yeah, that's good. Thank you. Thank you very much.
And also I've created an avoidance of depending on people. Like, I don't depend on anybody. I'm like super fiercely independent because I don't believe a person will follow through. So, and really now being able to allow myself to connect with people and believe in people. So that's my new story.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to give you a hint. You've now learned 3 storying tools. 3 storying tools. They work together. You got me? You've learned 3 storying tools. They work together. And when you use them together, something else happens. That's your hint. "15-minute break. Doing an awesome job. 15-minute break.